In this short video, I'm going to share with you my tips for creating a mixed media mermaid. I'll be using some products by Jane Davenport, including her mermaid markers, which inspired these drawings. These markers are filled with dye-based ink that is very vibrant in color. It can paint on and be mixed with water like watercolor paint, so I'll be using these water brushes instead of a paintbrush to move around the color. I'll also use Jane Davenport's paint over pens and her sparkle markers. Finally, I'll use some Jelly Roll pens. Now, if you want to get better at painting mermaids, you should start by drawing mermaids in many different poses. Look up some pictures on the internet and just begin by copying them. Then try to create your own poses using your imagination. I'm going to show you a simple way to start a mermaid in a very dynamic pose. Begin by drawing a loose letter S. You can see how this S shape is going to give the mermaid a great big curve to her back as well as to her tail fin. I'm drawing both the head and the arms being thrown backwards, which helps to continue that S-shaped curve. When drawing any kind of figure, it's best to start with the line of action. So again, in this case, it was that S-shaped curve. Then it's best to go in and draw those body parts and to think of them as forms. Think of them as cylinders and spheres, not just lines. Finally, you can add in details like hair, facial features, and clothing. Just make sure you draw lightly, because not only will you make changes, but when you start painting, you're not going to want to see too much of these pencil lines sticking around. Alright, now for these mermaid markers. Watch how I can apply water first and then the ink on top, and it will blend and bleed the different colors together. If I place the ink on without using any water first, the color will be much more deep and intense. If I want to lighten the colors first, I can just touch the markers to the tip of the water brush and it'll lighten the color. When working with these markers, keep paper towels handy and really treat them like watercolor paint. If you ever make a mistake, or if you just want to lighten something up, dab that area with your paper towel and you can take some of the pigment off. Alright, so I have let my painting dry. It is not finished yet. I now can do a lot of extra details and add some dimension with these paint over pens, which are opaque markers, and the sparkle markers, which will just add a lot of fun texture and dimension. I like these Jelly Roll pens too because they're very fine tipped and you can just draw simple but really sparkly lines with them. I'm going to speed up the video now, but go ahead and watch what I do, and after I finish this one, I'm going to show you another mermaid done in a completely different way. Well, this mixed media mermaid is now complete, and I think that sparkle adds so much. I will put links to all of the products that I used in the description of this video. But in case you can't purchase all of them, let me show you another quick way to create a mermaid. This time not using any pencil at all. I'm just starting with the tail fin. You can see I just used a simple outline and then pulled the paint inwards using my water brush, but you could also do this with a regular paintbrush too. Remember, everything I'm doing with these mermaid markers you could do with watercolor paint. The difference is the watercolor paint won't be as vibrant and intensely colored. I'm painting this entirely with the mermaid markers, but if you're less comfortable doing that, another idea for you is to just make the tail fin painted and then use a different medium, like maybe colored pencils or even regular markers, to do the body and the hair. You should do what's comfortable for you, and you should never feel held back and limited by your materials. You're in charge of your own art, and if something's making you frustrated and it's making you not want to create, then you should find something else to work with. Find a different way so that you can keep moving forward. Now, watch that left arm. I decide to change it and make it positioned differently. Watch how I fix this. I apply some water with the water brush, dab up all that excess, and then I can just paint right over it. So you can correct mistakes using the mermaid markers or using any kind of watercolor paint. You just need to, again, add water and then lift that color with a paper towel. The paper I'm working on is a 140-pound watercolor paper that is pretty heavy, so it doesn't need to be taped down to prevent it from warping. I add the facial features last using Crayola markers and a black micron pen. And I truly hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gets you inspired to paint or draw a mermaid yourself. I will link all of the products used in the description so that you can easily find them if you're interested in buying them yourself. And of course, if you want to see more art demos and tutorials, please subscribe to my channel.